Yeah. Okay. All right. Wait. No. No. Why would I tell you to buy high, sell low? That doesn't make any. You know what? Forget it. Oh my gosh. Ugh, that is the last time I hire somebody that didn't graduate from ASU. Anyway, let's get back here. You guys scared me sneaking up on me like that. Jeez. Whew. Anyway, I assume you're here because you want to talk about class. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me catch my breath here. I'll give you a very brief introduction about myself, and then we'll talk about the class. This part is a brief introduction about myself. I've been teaching for around 12 years. This is the fifth state that I have taught business law in. I have 3 master's degrees and a doctorate degree. The doctorate degree is in law. I enjoy photography. These are my images that you're seeing here. If you ever stop by my office, I've got my photography all over the place. I'm just an amateur, but it's a fun hobby that I enjoy. I moved here just a couple months ago from Colorado. I was really active in Colorado. I summited the 100 highest peaks. What else? I started trying to go out of the country to do some climbs. I climbed the world's highest volcano in South America at 22,600 feet. Let's see. My research interests are very diverse and broad. You can look up my CV on Blackboard if you're really interested in all my past published research. Currently, I'm working on one on whether or not the president can pardon himself. It's a very interesting one that could, who knows, that could come up during this semester, during our class. I'm doing another one that looks at if students, when they're enrolling for their classes, if there's like a lot of options to choose from for a specific class, do they discriminate on the basis of the name of the instructor? You know, if they don't know any of the instructors, do they prefer male instructors or female instructors or instructors with an ethnic name or a non-ethnic name? Things like that. Let's see. I enjoy playing trivia. I've got some trivia games that I sell on Amazon that I've created. Just a little bit about me. Look forward to learning more about you based on your essays and your discussion posts. And now we will look at the syllabus. All right, so this is the final part. We'll go over the syllabus here, which is always available to you on Blackboard. And by the way, I should be making these videos every week as we go through the semester. Part of the class is watching the video, and occasionally I will put like a little thing in the middle of the video where I say, on your next assignment, say this or do this so that I see you're watching these videos. And if you don't do it, you're in big trouble. Okay. So syllabus, a lot of this is pretty basic stuff. It's an online class. It's 100% asynchronous, so you never have to be online at a certain exact time with other people. You can just kind of do it at your own pace. But I'm, of course, always available for you if you want to come and talk to me about anything. I am in my office more than anybody else up here. That's not an exaggeration. I literally am. So you can just try to swing by and catch me. You can come by my office hours, or if you want to like set up a time that's convenient for you to meet, we can do that as well. Oh, let's see here. It's the textbook you need. I think for like an extra $90, you can pay for this extra online content that the textbook manufacturer is always trying to persuade me to assign to you guys. I'm sure that's just out of the kindness of their heart and not because you would all be paying them an extra $90. But anyway, I stand strong against that. And all you need is the textbook, a physical textbook or an online version of the textbook. And it is a Cengage textbook. So if you have other classes that use Cengage and you have the Cengage Unlimited, it would literally be free. You can even get a physical copy if you just pay the $7 shipping. So you can look into that option. So get the book. All right, so you're probably concerned about this here. I like to keep things simple, which doesn't necessarily mean easy, but it just means simple, not unnecessarily complex. So look, this is pretty simple, right? Your quizzes are 50% of your final grade, and everything else is the other 50%. Pretty simple. Okay, so let's talk. Your quizzes are pretty basic. There'll be 15 to 20 questions. There might be one or two that only have 10 questions. And they're based on the chapters of your book. It's just the test bank, from your textbook. So instead of making you pay $90 to get on and take them, I just went through and extracted them and then put them onto Blackboard, so you can just do the quizzes on Blackboard. So it's really basic stuff. When you're taking the Chapter 3 quiz, it's open book. It'd be really hard if it wasn't. You just sit there with your textbook open to Chapter 3, and when you see the question, you go through the book and find it in there and then select the correct answer. Pretty basic. Some of the questions can be a little, I guess, tricky. You have to really see what they're asking for. Sometimes they're looking for the best answer, not just the first feasible answer. So be careful with that. If you got a question wrong on the quiz, you can email me about it, but only if it's like a black and white, blatantly, it should have been correct. If it's just kind of tricky, or maybe there's two answers that kind of look good, don't email me about that. But if you think this is like 100% black and white, you had the right answer and you got it wrong, then email me and I'll look into it. Let's see. Oh, and also on all those quizzes, you can't see the results until after the due date. So the due date is always on Sundays. So if you take the quiz on a Thursday, you won't be able to see the results till Sunday night at midnight. That way it just makes it harder for you to share answers with each other, which is not allowed. The quizzes you have to do on your own, just you and your book. Okay, so the discussion posts. Oh, and all the quizzes are always due Sunday night at midnight. Everything is due Sunday night at midnight, except for your very first discussion post. So on discussion posts, you have one forum a week that you have to do. Each week you have to make your first original post by Friday night at midnight, and then before Sunday night at midnight, you have to make 3 response posts. And that includes if somebody responded to your initial post and then you respond to what they said on your thread, that counts as a response post. So I don't put word limits on here, but as a general rule of thumb, or wait a minute, did I? No, I didn't. So as a general rule of thumb, if your initial post is around maybe like 200 to 250 words, and if you are writing efficiently, that's a substantial post. That's good. And then response posts, probably around 60 to 70 words. If you write efficiently, that's a substantial post. If you write like a 20-word response post that just says, wow, that's a really good opinion, or that's a really good thought. I've never really thought of that before. Wow, yeah, I'll be interested to see how this plays out. Well, that doesn't really do anything. Nobody benefits from reading that. So your responses have to be substantial. They can be agreeable, but you have to maybe say, yeah, I totally agree with you, but for different reasons, or I agree with you, but I think this is an even bigger deal than you even imagine, things like that. All right. So these are minimums. The 3 response posts, that's a minimum. You can do 4 or 5 if you want. And I do kind of grade, if you have 5 response posts that are 40 to 50 words, that's about the same as having 3 response posts at, 70 words. So I do kind of grade that way. Okay, I do not get on there and comment on them. I used to do that, and it was just a problem because for many reasons. I mean, it kind of set a precedent that some students acted like if I didn't get on there and correct them, within like 3 hours, that I was therefore giving my stamp of approval. As students would say something controversial, and then they'd say, well, Dr. Conklin didn't get on here and correct me, so I must be right and you're wrong. So I have a policy. I do not comment on these. And then also there was a problem if I kind of got on and made a devil's advocate comment, then that person would say, see, I'm right. Dr. Conklin agrees with me. So I just don't do it. I wait until that the Monday morning after they're due, and then I get in and read them all from scratch. Okay, so we will be civil in all of these discussions. Definitely feel free to disagree. Generally, those are more beneficial comments than comments where you agree, but just do so respectfully. Don't say you're wrong, you're an idiot. How could anybody think something so dumb? Instead, say things like, you can tell them they're wrong. Say, I disagree. Here's why. Here's why I think your explanation is wrong, and here's a better explanation. That's totally fine, but just don't attack the person. Okay, I'm really excited. In these kind of first day of class things, especially in an online class, I don't know anything about you, and that's exciting because I don't know, what you're going to say on these posts. Maybe I'll hear something I've never heard before. Maybe I'll hear something that, no one has ever really thought about before, and it could be something I could research and get published on in the future, or, who knows. Okay, and then your essays. You'll be assigned 1 or 2 essays every week. They're pretty basic. Most of them are a 400-word minimum. They're very open-ended. Sometimes they just give you a little prompt and then just say, discuss. Like, what do you think? So I'm not looking for anything specific, just discuss. If your essay discussed what I told you to discuss, then you did it right. And also on that grading, I essentially never give out 100%, because then what would I give if somebody does something better? So kind of if you meet the minimum word limit on an essay and you don't have a lot of errors, you might get a 94, 95, something like that. That's a very good grade. If it's phenomenal, you might get a 98. If it's got a few errors, you might get an 88, 85, something like that. So don't freak out because you didn't get 100%. Okay, and another thing on essays, I try to, wouldn't it be good if in college, if like each class you had just had 1 or 2 really strict grammar rules that they really hammered, and then after you graduate, I mean, you had, 30, 40 or so classes, you'd know a lot about grammar. You'd be really good just by focusing on one rule in each class. So for me, there's this simple rule. Most of you probably already know it. Periods and commas go inside quote marks. Okay, so when you have a quotation that ends a sentence, you put the period inside the quote mark. Okay, periods and commas go inside quote marks. Now, if you're reading something from Australia or the UK, I think they do it the opposite. But here in America, we put periods and commas inside quote marks. And then also, you should definitely already know this. Don't write a paragraph over 200 words long. If something is over 200 words long, you need to break it into multiple paragraphs. That's way too long. So those are the 2 things. So I'll take off a lot of points if you don't follow those 2 rules. And I do take off for all other grammar as well, but those are kind of the 2 things to really focus on in this class. All right, moving on. Here's the grade breakdown. I don't know why I have to tell you this, but I don't know. If you transferred here from another college that instead of giving out A's, B's, and C's, they give out, unicorns and rainbows. Here's how we do it here. I check my email multiple times a day. I expect that you check your email at least once every weekday. Late work assignment. Okay, so this is another way that I keep things simple, although maybe not in your favor. What's more simple in a late work policy than just, I don't accept late work? That's very simple, easy to understand. So I do have a little exception here. What is it? If you're physically rendered incapable of doing it, as in you are in a coma and just cannot do anything, then I'll make an exception. So if you're trying to look for an exception for late work, just ask yourself, is this kind of close to on par with being in a coma for days on end? And if the answer is no, then no late work. All of the assignments are posted right now. So if you are worried that you will have some life event that keeps you from doing assignments for 3 or 4 or 5 days in a row, just do your assignments 3, 4, or 5 days early, and it will never be a problem. Let's see, what else? There is one single extra credit assignment this semester. It is due April 28th at midnight. After that date, that's it. There is no more extra credit offered of any kind after April 28th at 11:59 p.m. So you can't just wait till the end of the semester and then calculate out the bare minimum you need to do to bump up to the next grade level. Okay, I think that's... Yes. Okay, so here's your course outline with all of your assignments. I don't see this changing. If some crazy thing happens and I change this, I'll email it out and be sure to let it be known. But yeah, here's your assignments due. So just for example, this first week, all of your assignments, so they are all due. This is Sunday night at midnight or 11:59. They're all due that Sunday night. And the only exception is that your first discussion post is due the Friday, so that'd be the 22nd. So you make your first discussion post by Friday the 22nd. You can do it before then. And then everything else, all your response posts, your 4 quizzes, and these 2 essays are all due by Sunday night, 11:59 p.m. And, same thing for all these other weeks. So let's see. I think that is... so because there's no late work, you have to be careful when turning in assignments. I have to have your assignment in my possession before the due date. So if you submit... Every semester I get a student who accidentally submits a blank Word document. Well, then I didn't get the assignment on time and I don't accept the correct document late. I get a student who will accidentally submit like something for a different class. So then they get a 0. They don't get credit for that unless they've realized their mistake and then send me the correct assignment before the deadline. Also, I'm pretty sure I cannot open and read .pages files. That's the Macintosh or Apple default Word document. So I can't read those, so don't submit those. And that's a very good lesson for you to learn because in the business world, I mean, it runs on PC. If you start emailing people, .pages files, they're going to wonder what's wrong with you. Okay. Well, gosh, now I feel like I need to end on some kind of a inspirational, motivational note. That's all that I have for you. Let's see. May your passion for studying law fly as high as your GPA. I guess higher than your GPA. I don't know what your GPA is. Yes. So soar with the eagles. Here's one. Don't stay up and hoot with the owls at night because then you can't soar with the eagles in the morning. That's an actual saying I've heard before. So there you go. Hopefully you're properly motivated with that, and email me with any questions, and hopefully I'll see you in the video for the second week.